I heard rapid fire, and at first I took cover. I felt a burning sensation. I went to go lift my pant leg up, and I saw the blood. That's when I called it in on my radio that shots have been fired. And I was gonna say that I was hit, but I got on over my cell phone just to clear that radio traffic for they can coordinate the rest of the call.
So he shot. You didn't even know he shot through this door, right?
Yeah, from behind the door. I didn't know how he was shooting.
Yeah.
But he shot out.
Right. So you didn't even know it was coming from here. So it's Stephen at this point. So you're called up. You just think that you're coming to look at a door that's been blocked in the firewall, right?
Yeah. I didn't think anything out of the ordinary at the time. I came from a higher floor and came down a different hallway, service elevator, and I walked out and I rounded the corner for the 100 hallway, and that's when it was quiet at this time, and the doors are set back, as you can see in that, about a foot, and Jesus was towards the end of the hallway, but I didn't know at that time, and I thought I saw someone like pop out of the cubby, and I kept walking, and once I got more than halfway is when I saw Jesus and I started to hear shooting. And I thought, at the time I didn't know it was shooting, I thought it was a jackhammer. And as an engineer, I'm like, we're not working up here this late at night. We wouldn't be doing that. Right. And it was, I believe, outside. It wasn't in the hallway yet. And that's when Jesus, he leaned out and he said, take cover, and yelled at me, and within milliseconds, if he didn't say that, I would have got hit.
Because he was still shooting, so you would have been hit had he not told you.
Yeah, it wasn't even fully in cover, and they were passing behind my head, and I could feel the pressure of the
You could feel the pressure going past you, just even being out of the way.
Yes.
And were guests coming out of the doorways?
There was a female that came out, and I told her to go back inside. It wasn't safe.
Mm-hmm. Were guests coming out of the doorways?
There was a female that came out, and I told her to go back inside. It wasn't safe.
Were guests coming out of the doorways?
There was a female that came out, and I told her to go back inside. It wasn't safe. Mm-hmm. Shortly after, that's when Stephen was approaching, and I told him to stay back and get cover, and that's when more rounds were dispersed.
Right. Wow. So, and I mean, really, he saved your life, and he saved also the woman that came out of the door to go into the hallway. So.
Performing that night right before Jason Aldean. Everyone with you's okay. The baby's okay.
Our whole crew, we left as a group, and everyone's fine. And the ones that I haven't seen, we saw last night. And everyone's good.
When I read that your baby was just 3 doors down from the shooter's room,
I walked off stage just like every day. Took my ears out, handed it to Evan, hugged him, and said thank you. Walked off stage to find my wife, and we just heard a pop. And I thought my ears were wrong. Then a few more, then they're like, get down. And long story short, we ended up on a tour bus and laying on the floor, and I get a text saying, what room was your kid in? And I said 32-130. He said the shooter's in 32-135, a couple hundred feet. And he said, who's there? And I said, the nanny's across the hall. But the doors they deactivated the keys, so we couldn't get in to get the baby. So SWAT walked in and kicked in the door, grabbed the baby and ran out. And the whole time I knew this, but I couldn't tell my wife because she would have been, and we were being shuffled from trucks and vans and running through crowds and ended up at Thomas and Mack Center. And we found out they were being shuttled somewhere we didn't know where. And like every bus that pulled up in the Thomas and Mack Center was looking for Wake, looking for the lady watching him, and just wasn't there. And we got a call, said he was at Town Center, I think is what they said. And we had a van lucky enough to come get us. And I said, where's Town Center? And he said, it's right by where we're going. So this is about 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours of just not knowing where the kid was at, couldn't find him, and we literally picked him up on the side of the road.
I mean, as a dad, how do you not, or I'm sure you did feel like, I gotta go?
There was no options. It was where he was at, was where everything was coming from. And when I tell you 25,000 people running one way, and I can't say enough about the first responders and the police department and the LAPD and the Vegas SWAT, they were running straight at it. Selfless, didn't think for 1 second. There was not a second we didn't know where we were supposed to go. They were very, put your head down, run, we're behind you, stay behind us, stay in front of us. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say they probably saved my kid's life. When we finally got to that kid, I held him till like 6 o'clock in the morning. I tweeted watching the Vegas sun come up, and it was, I've done it many times, don't get me wrong, but it's like that time holding my son and dead silence. I'll never forget, it was just dead silence in Las Vegas, and just having my kid, he just sitting on my shoulder.
Did the baby wake up? Did the baby have any idea of what was going on around?
When the flashbang went off, the door kicked in, and he woke up and started screaming, they said. But after that, he's just a good kid. He don't cry. And the police officer said we had him, and he was playing with the police officers, walkie-talkie, until he got handed down to a safe place. And when we picked him up, he was in his pajamas, just laughing and smiling. The Vegas SWAT saved my kid's life.